Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today we're going to be reacting to the massive blockbuster deal that just went down between the Lakers, the Timberwolves, and the Utah Jazz, one that involves the three teams swapping their point guards. There's draft capital involved, there's solid role players as well, and I think this deal in particular regarding to the Lakers is a massive win, and I think it makes LA not just a playoff team, but it makes them potentially a very scary one if the pieces fit in the way that I think they can. Now, we'll see if they make some more moves before the deadline, but right now the Lakers are immediately massive winners of the deadline, and I think that this move for the Timberwolves and Jazz is also pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and go over what the deal is in full. The Lakers received D'Angelo Russell from the Timberwolves, as well as Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt from the Utah Jazz. Mike Conley and picks go to Minnesota, and Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 first-round pick, top 4 protected that is, goes over to the Utah Jazz. You've also got a couple other random names involved like Juan Toscano Anderson and Damian Jones also going to Utah, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker going to the Timberwolves, but that's the full deal. Let's go ahead and break it down, starting off with the Los Angeles Lakers. As I said at the beginning of the video, I think that this is a massive win for LA. They get so much better through this deal. Of course, it means the end for Russell Westbrook and his time in LA, which was basically a failure from the get-go. It never really seemed to get off the ground. As much of a Russ fan as I am, and as much as I want to see Russ win a ring alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, it was by far time to go ahead and let go of this experiment. They go ahead and get off of his contract, which is expiring this offseason, and he'll likely get bought out in Utah, which we will talk about later on in the video. But yeah, that era is now over. There's a lot of animosity between him, the coaching staff. Apparently him and Darvin Ham had kind of an argument on the bench last night. There was LeBron saying in the media, like, we would have loved to have Kyrie Irving, when it was pretty clear that if they did trade for Kyrie, it would have been Russ that was gone. Overall, I'm just glad that this whole thing is over because it was not working out for either side. They also gave up that 2027 first round pick, which was super valuable. I do like that they protected it 1 through 4, and I think that this was a good deal to move it in. I thought to get a package like this, they might have to give up both of those first round picks, but Rob Pelinka, as much, crap as we've given him recently, which not saying he's not deserving of it because he's made a bunch of questionable and overall just nonsense moves at times, this is a great trade. This is very well executed by him. He played this deadline and this whole Lakers trade saga pretty well. Not only did he not have to give up both first round picks, but he was able to get a protection on one of them, and I think that's a big win for the Lakers. And the players that they get back too are great fits for this squad. Of course, D'Lo returned to LA where it all started, where he got drafted. It's a really cool story in general. He now comes back as a one-time All-Star, and he's been a lot better recently. Of course, he started the season pretty slow, and a lot of people really got on him, but recently he's been really solid. He's been playmaking well, he's been scoring decently efficiently. The defense does still leave a little bit to be desired, which is still one of my biggest concerns with this Lakers roster, but I do think he's a lot better of a fit at that starting point guard position than Russ. Of course, Russ was coming off the bench, but now you have the ability to move Dennis Schroeder over to the bench or Patrick Beverley, and that opens up the backcourt a lot and adds some depth. You also, of course, get Malik Beasley, one of the best shooters in the NBA at the wing position right now, and something that the Lakers desperately needed. They really needed a player like Malik who consistently knocked down threes, because there are a lot of times in crunch time, they just didn't have guys that could hit those shots. Every now and again, like Lonnie Walker will hit one, LeBron will hit one, but typically you're just kind of praying that they're going to go in. So now they get in a guy like Malik Beasley that is going to knock them down at a consistent clip, and having AD and LeBron out there as well as D'Angelo Russell playmaking for him, which those two players played together last season, which is also some added chemistry. It's going to be a lot of wide open and great looks for him, and if he continues to shoot the way that he did in Utah, it's going to be a nightmare for defenses. Then you've got Jared Vanderbilt, who in my opinion is one of the more underrated players in the NBA amongst more casual fans. He's a high-level defender. The offense isn't great, but I do think he can make an impact, and like I mentioned earlier, the Lakers, I still am kind of concerned about their defense, but I think that Vando adds a nice presence in the front court that bolsters their depth and overall just makes them better defensively. Now the Lakers could potentially roll out a starting lineup of D'Angelo Russell, Patrick Beverley, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis, which looks a lot better than what it was at the beginning of the season, and they've quickly turned around from seeming basically hopeless to looking like, hey, there is a potential future here. And I like that they weren't scared to make this move. I've been one of the many people saying that the Lakers have to capitalize on what they have now. Sure, it is scary to give up a pick that's 4 years in the future and even like 6 years in the future if you think about that 2029 pick, but you've got to do what you have to do when you have LeBron on the roster, when you have Anthony Davis on the roster, who when he's been healthy has been phenomenal so far this season. If those two guys continue to play at that level, AD gets back to that level, you get great play from D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, who all I think can fit in really well. I think Rui Hachimura was a good pickup too. The Lakers are all of a sudden looking like a lot better team. Now, once again, I don't think think I'm saying that they're truly contenders. I still think the depth is a bit of an issue. Defensively, I worry, and even offensively. Once again, we don't know how these pieces are going to fit in right away, but I do think that they are in a lot better spot than they were earlier on in the season. And overall, this is a massive win for the Lakers. Rob Pelinka, as I mentioned previously, for all the crap that he's gotten, he made a really good move, and I think he deserves a lot of flowers and credit for doing so, for improving this roster around LeBron James, around Anthony Davis. We'll see if the Lakers do anything else, but even if they don't, they were immediately one of the biggest winners of this trade deadline, in my opinion. Next, let's go ahead and talk about what this means for the Minnesota Timberwolves, because I think they're in a very interesting spot. Of course, they trade D'Angelo Russell, who's been a lot better as of late, like I said. It just never felt like it was a great fit between him and Anthony Edwards in that backcourt, and now bringing in Mike Conley. I think he's a bit of a better fit when you just think about their play styles. I'm not saying whether he or D'Lo is the better player. I just think in terms of team construction and the way that they're going to fit with these supporting casts, I think Mike Conley is a bit of a better player for Minnesota in particular. His playmaking is a bit better. He doesn't need the ball in his hands nearly as much to make an impact, and I think that works well with Anthony Edwards, who's been handling the ball a lot more recently, and he's done a great job of doing so. He looks like he genuinely has a future as the lead ball handler for this team, and I like the idea of him consistently getting more reps in that role that he's probably become pretty comfortable with over the course of this recent stretch. Then you also have to consider the fact that Mike Conley has played with Rudy Gobert before, so you get him someone that he has a bit more chemistry with as a lead point guard. Maybe he'll get more involved, and things will look better when he and Kat are sharing the floor once again whenever Towns comes back from the injury that just seems to be lingering. Then, of course, there's the Utah Jazz, who end up getting Russell Westbrook and that 2027 first-round pick, top 4 protected from the Los Angeles Lakers. Some of you might be saying, why they give all this up for that? That pick is going to be incredibly valuable. I would be shocked if that isn't like a 5th overall, 6th overall, at worst a 10th overall pick in that 2027 draft. The Lakers will not be good at that point. LeBron is 38 and he'll probably be retired or playing with whatever team that Bronny is on at that point in his career. Anthony Davis will also be pretty old and have declined a significant bit if he still is on the Lakers in 2027. And the rest of the roster is pretty old too. So the Lakers probably won't be pretty good. Maybe they get some star free agents to come to Los Angeles, and that pick isn't that great, but the way that things are looking in the next 4 years, I would be shocked if that isn't a lottery pick at the very least. So that is a huge pickup for them, and it seems to me like they're trying to rebuild. They realize that this roster really isn't going to go anywhere outside of like a play-in tournament or maybe a playoff berth as like an 8 seed. They give up on Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mike Conley. They say, hey, we're going to go ahead and start this thing over. And of course, they get Russell Westbrook back, who they're not going to hold on to. They're going to buy him out. I would assume almost immediately. I think he doesn't play a single game for the Utah Jazz, and we'll see where Russ ends up going. I think there are some immediate suitors that come to mind. I saw a report that the Heat might be interested in him as a backup point guard. I think the Clippers make a lot of sense for Russell Westbrook. You put some shooters around him, and you basically say, hey, just go ahead and do your thing for like 15-20 minutes a game off the bench and see what you can make happen, or even as a starter potentially, because the Clippers have really struggled with point guard play so far this season. Terrence Mann has had some run, and he's done a pretty good job, but Reggie Jackson and John Wall have both struggled mightily, so I wouldn't be surprised if Russ ends up there, and those are the two main teams that I'm looking at. But I think any number of teams, if they just want Russ to be a 6-man, would look for him, especially on the fact that he's probably now going to be on a minimum contract for whatever team picks him up off the buyout market. So immediate reaction to this trade, I like the idea of it for the Jazz and the Timberwolves, and I like it by far the most for the Los Angeles Lakers, shoring up the defense, by far shoring up that 3-point shooting, getting a better fitting point guard in D'Angelo Russell, who they will have to re-sign this offseason. That is something that we need to comment on, but once again, credit to Rob Pelinka for finally making a move and making one that I think is a huge home run. With all that being said, I appreciate you all watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. Go ahead and comment down below your grades for each team on this deal. Do you agree with me that the Lakers are the biggest winner? Do you think the Timberwolves got the upper hand, or the Utah Jazz? Let me know, and also let me know where you think Russell Westbrook ends up, and if you think this move makes the Lakers contenders. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.